Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. We have a lot of interesting stories to cover today and some updates. This is just getting weirder and weirder with these people. All right, let's just jump in with both feet and get started, shall we? Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the story that goes around the world as well as the picture. The Duke of Cambridge, William, was pictured with his arm around a resident who was so moved by William's visit to Glasgow on Wednesday that fans said the picture brought them to tears, and I have to say, I'm one of them. People referred to Diana and how she was the people's princess and how the son has become the people's prince. You can just see the way the man is hugging William with so much feeling. People are just so proud of William. I am too. All right, moving on. All right, next up this morning, we know that Harry and Meghan were told not to use their HRH. We know that they've used it several times since then. We know that the deal with Penguin Random House for the books was signed way after they left the royal family. And yet, Meghan continues to put her HRH on everything she can. You know what? I almost wonder if she knows that eventually she's going to lose everything. She won't be HRH. She won't be a princess. She won't be anything. That's why she had Archie's birth certificate changed. That's why she's calling herself the Duchess of Sussex on absolutely everything she can, because she wants it on there so that when it gets ripped off, she can say, well, you know, I had it when these were done, so I get to keep it. You know what I'm saying? All right, moving on. You guys remember when Harry and Meghan had that MWX Foundation? Well, they finally shut it down, and there was a £213,000 surplus from the closure. So this was paid in the form of and I'm air quoting, a grant to a not-for-profit enterprise, which is, wait for it, Travelist. You know, this is how money gets laundered. You know, you start a company, you end the company, you move it around, you shift it around, tax evasion. Yeah, you guys know how that works. All right, moving on. Well, this next story segues very well because what they're saying is that Prince Harry is likely to miss the majority of his grandmother's Jubilee celebrations because he's going to be taking part in polo season while the majority of the activities are taking place. Now, this schedule, which I showed you previously, has caused all kinds of problems because it starts the same weekend as the Queen's Platinum Jubilee events, okay? And people are pointing out the timing that Harry won't be returning. Now, he's already been told he can't go on the balcony. He's already been told that he's not allowed to bring Netflix. I'm pretty sure that they're going to make absolutely sure that there's no surreptitious taping or, video footage that the royal family is unaware of. So while they're saying they're going to go, I still have doubts that they're going to show up. Polo starts the same weekend as the Queen's Platinum Jubilee events. Trooping the Color has over 1,400 soldiers, 200 horses, and 400 musicians. There's a parade, and then, the family goes out onto the balcony, and the event ends with the traditional Royal Air Force flying by. And this occurs on June 2nd, one day before Harry's last polo game. Personally, I'm thinking his thought process is, well, we can't go on the balcony. We're not allowed to tape. We're not allowed to do any of this. So there's just no point in going. Now, again, then you get articles like this one, heightened security because Meghan and Harry have picked where they're going to stay during the UK. Now, what the heck does that mean? Supposedly, Frogmore Cottage is still theirs, although they're apparently subletting to Eugenie and Jack and their child. So it's being reported that heightened security measures are already being put into place and that Eugenie and Jack are going to put them in the guest rooms while they're there since they're living in the property. I just don't know what I think about this. And Harry apparently stayed there in April of last year when he came back for the funeral. Now, remember that it was Eugenie who visited in California when she went over there for another, thing, and she went to the Super Bowl. I also want to say, and as I've said before, I think she's the mole in the family. All right, moving on. All right, this article came out about the Travelers Push and that ridiculous skit that Harry did. And people are asking, why did he use the Maori to do this? Well, he's hoping that you'll draw some kind of association between their lifestyle, which is a low environmental impact, and his airline rating service. So if anybody tried to draw a parallel between its products and the Maori culture, they'd be attacked for what they call greenwashing. It is obnoxious, the article says, to imply that tourists flying halfway around the world to visit New Zealand can have a carbon footprint which remotely compares with that of its indigenous people. And all Harry really succeeded in is drawing attention to his own Yeti-like carbon footprint, while once again trying to preach to the rest of us about climate change. They're saying that there's absolutely nothing novel about his rating service. There's plenty of places you can go to find out environmental impact of an airline journey if you choose to, and all of them point to the same thing, that anybody who regularly flies would be best advised to keep quiet and stop lecturing the rest of us on our greenhouse gas emissions. So here's a perfect example. If that skit had been filmed in New Zealand, which we know it wasn't, but if it had been, that single journey would have been responsible for more gas emissions than most people emit in an entire year. Now, in a couple of weeks, he says he's going to London for the Jubilee and had a stroke. That could be another 3.3 tons of emissions. Now, that's assuming, of course, that he doesn't get on another private jet, which I think he will, because for the safety of his family, he said he needs private jets. So that's what I think. And private jet passengers, just FYI, are responsible for between 5 and 14 times more emissions per mile as commercial airline passengers. So while Harry may think he's saving the planet, he's merely opening himself up to ridicule. We already know this. All right, moving on. Now, this next story came up saying that Harry and Meghan are literally damaging the crown by coming to the Jubilee. And everybody was like, well, then why did the Queen give them an invite? Well, it's not like they had a choice. She had to invite them. And people initially said, why would you invite them? Because you know they're going to hijack this, and the focus should be on you. And they always cause distractions, and that is why they've said to them, you're not going to be on the balcony. You'll only be at the private functions behind the scenes. And, but I think the Queen invited them because this was going to be her only chance to see the kids, because Harry and Meghan have intentionally withheld those kids. Yeah, it's really sad. Now, with that being said, it's being reported that the Queen has literally deployed a ring of steel to stop Harry and Meghan from doing anything, to recording, taping anything that could be used in their documentary, which we know they're making. Forget Invictus. They're doing a fly-on-the-wall documentary. We've seen the cameras following them. Harry and Meghan were told, supposedly, allegedly, not to even think about using the monarch as a means of sourcing content for Netflix. Now, I find this interesting. Remember when Harry did his interview and he said, I'm making sure the right people are around her? Well, U.S. News Today was told that there is a ring of steel around the Queen in terms of her advisors, right? So you have to wonder if that's what Harry meant when he said the right people were around her. Because the people around her are making sure that Harry can't use this trip in the Netflix deal. I think that's more of what was meant when he said, I'm making sure the right people are around her. I think he's upset when he gave that interview because he realized he wasn't going to be able to get around the mandates that have been put in place, and he's not going to get what he needs for Netflix. Now, this ring of steel around them creates a problem because Harry and Meghan still need to be seen as royal in order for the Netflix stuff to continue to go. We know that they're not going to pass up an opportunity to be in the spotlight. They have to be seen as royal. They have to rub elbows. Now, here's my honest opinion. While they still want to be seen as royal and they still want to rub elbows, I still don't believe, until I see them there, I do not believe that Meghan and those kids will go to the UK. Sorry, I don't believe it. All right, I had to put this in here because I just think it's yeah. Okay, so we know that Pearl was canceled. We know that Harry called the higher-ups at Netflix and tried to get them to put it back, and they said no. Now the stories are coming out that they're going to try to sell it to like HBO or one of these other streaming companies, Apple. Personally, I don't think they'd be stupid enough to take them on after seeing how they don't do any work. But the reason is, why are they pushing it so hard? What is going on? And then it came out. Well, according to Neil Sean, they were going to merch the hell out of this. It was going to be duvet covers, coloring books, pens. It was going to be anything you could buy with the Pearl logo on it was going to be up for grabs. It was all about the merching. Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I move on to my main story about Harry and Meghan for today, I want to touch one more time on this Lufthansa thing that happened. So for those of you who may not have heard about it, there were 100 and something Jewish people on a plane heading to Germany for a special event. 3 or 4 members of that, not even in that group, they were not a group, they just all happened to be on the same plane. 3 or 4 people refused to wear their masks. So Lufthansa deplaned anybody that was Jewish, 100 and something people. They were held at the airport. They were prevented from boarding their next flight by armed police officers. It was a horrible scene. So guess what? Lufthansa put out an apology. As you can see above, we regret the circumstances surrounding the decision to exclude passengers from the flight. Please see below. Yeah, all right. Here's what they put up as an apology. So the writing is really small, so I'm going to read it to you guys, because I doubt you can see it. But what it says is, on May 4th, a large number of booked passengers were denied boarding on their onward flight. We regret the circumstances surrounding the decision to exclude the affected passengers from the flight, for which Lufthansa sincerely apologizes. While we're still reviewing the facts and circumstances, we regret that a large group was denied boarding rather than limiting it to non-compliant guests. So they admitted that what I reported was what happened. We apologize to all the passengers unable to travel on this flight, not only for their inconvenience, but also for the offense caused and personal impact. Our employees stand behind the goal of connecting people. Diversity and equal opportunity are our core values, blah, blah, blah. You get it. He said, and then they ended up with, we will be engaging with the affected passengers to better understand their concerns and openly discuss how we can improve our customer service. All right, well, here's what people thought of that. Gilead wrote that he improved their statement by more directly addressing those who were harmed. And I think he did an excellent job pointing out what they were skirting around. Yep. And Daniel Aronson did the same exact thing. He fixed their response. Yep. That's what Lufthansa should have said. And I'm well aware that this German airline doesn't want to be seen as anti-Semitic, but unfortunately their actions clearly show that they are. They should have done better, and they should have put out a better statement. Ellie Perman pointed out that there was clear discrimination against a group of Jewish passengers. We regret that this story went viral, and we have put together 5 paragraphs that does nothing to address the blatant discrimination and hope that this incident will be forgotten. And these 3 final response, the top one, I can't tell you who wrote it because the name got cut off, but after a week with no response, Lufthansa replies with calling them a large group and fails to mention what identifies them as a group. Didn't expect any better. I agree. Mr. Copps wrote, go on. What did the large group all have in common? And Rita Rosenfeld wrote that in contravention of Germany's own laws against anti-Semitism, it seems that Lufthansa crew needs some resensitivity training and reorientation of values. And I agree. Spot on. All right, let's move on to our last Harry and Meghan story for the day. All righty. Archwell partnered with the National Business Coalition for Childcare, which is organized, blah, 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 blah. And look below, there are quotes from the Duchess. Right. And once again, she's jumping on a bandwagon that's already there. We are sending a message that childcare isn't a community imperative, it's a business imperative. Yes, we know this. This is why a lot of companies have on-site childcare for their parents. This is why a lot of companies now allow people to work from home. Like, what is she? She acts like nobody has childcare for their kids. And of course, Scooby-Doo, Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece, jumped in. Now, on another thing, I just want to interject here that we know Omid was just served a cease and desist by a law firm because apparently he's had a hand in deplatforming Yankee Wally. I'm going to be watching that with my eyes open. All right, moving on, getting back to our story. Yes, she says working moms are asked to shoulder so much. How would she know that? She has a maid who cleans her house. She has gardeners. She has cooks. She has nannies. How can she talk about something that she has no clue about? None whatsoever. The woman doesn't work. She's home 24/7. And I get that she's a feminist and she's pushing women's rights, but you can't push women's rights if you're trampling on the rights of others. I just happened to notice that in this big report that she put out and more stuff that they funded, more research that they funded, which is a waste of money, she left out single parent households where the father is the parent. She left out gay couples. It's like only women. I mean, she's killing me. Oh, and just an FYI, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not going to get into a whole debate, but I noticed that Miss Feminist hasn't said anything about the fact that Roe versus Wade was just overturned, so her own daughter doesn't have control over her own body anymore. I wonder, Meghan hasn't made one statement about that. Does anybody else find that odd? My goodness, that's a lot of information, as usual. So, once again, I need those comments because I read them and I use them in my other videos, so make them good. Don't forget you can follow me on Rumble, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Getter, you can email me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future uploads. And if you've already hit the button, make sure you're still subscribed. For those who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you very much. For those who requested I buy a gift for Finn, I am going to get out of the house and buy him, I swear, and then I'll put the videos up to show you that he's receiving his new toys. Muro is still here as well visiting. All right, as always, you guys, have a great day.